in.
Yeah, man. Let me see if I see it. I can share it also. I see you. It's giving me a notification. Brad is live.
Okay, cool. And then I see it on here too. Okay, so we have 3 people watching now.
Beautiful.
Not sure who's watching, but my name is Brad, and I'm from the Durham region, Greater Toronto area, and I have a fellow realtor from Montreal on here as well, because a ton of people that are watching my YouTube channel or are pretty much coming from all over the world, and when they're picking a spot to live, they really don't know exactly where they want to come to, and so that's why I figured, get Thomas on here. He's from Montreal, so he can share what's going on out there. And I'm here to answer all the GTA questions, and he's there for all of the Greater Montreal questions and what life is like there. So Thomas, if you want to jump in and say hi to everybody.
Brad, thank you for having me. It's great to do this collaboration. I mean, both markets were going through some serious business right now, so yeah, I think people have to know as much as possible for making a good decision.
Yeah, I see that for sure. Especially like you take for granted. So when I moved from Brampton, which is on the other side of Toronto, to Oshawa back in 2012, I had no idea. And at that time, I wasn't licensed in real estate or anything like that. And I was fully reliant on the realtor that we had then. And I remember coming and he did like a drive-through to show us around, because for the first while of coming to Oshawa, I just thought it was field. And I had no idea it was a full city. And so that's why, like, with these YouTube channels, the great thing about it is people from anywhere in the world, instead of doing the Google Maps Street View and stuff, they get to see what it's actually like there and decide if that's where they want to live. And so I don't know, like I cover a lot in the Toronto area. I was born and raised in like pretty much the GTA, and I've lived here my whole life. I've never lived outside the GTA, so I've been able to share a lot of my experiences. And I guess the great thing now is we're going to introduce the Montreal type area, because I've gone there for hockey tournaments and just go for the weekend type thing, because it's a great place, especially when you were underage. You could go there and you could pretty much legally drink, because they didn't really check very much then.
I can share the many great stories about that too. But one of the things, in comparison, for the many times I've been to Toronto and Greater Toronto, I used to go there for when I was working in marketing for a tire company called Pirelli. I used to go to Toronto pretty regularly every year. And one of the things that I noticed is that it's so much more of a huge metropolis in comparison to Montreal. Like Montreal, you can pretty much in 30 minutes go across one side to the other, and in about 40 minutes go from one corner to the other one of the city with light traffic. I'm not talking about empty highway, I'm talking about regular traffic. So for sure, Montreal, the Greater Montreal is bigger, obviously. Greater Montreal, to do top to bottom, you're talking about an hour drive, a good hour drive. You can reach from one side to another of Greater Montreal, so definitely smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Like I live in Greater Montreal, in the island of Laval, which is the one right here. This is Montreal, right across the river, and I am walking distance 10 minutes from Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is one of the main differentiating factors that I think make a difference between Montreal and GTA and Greater Montreal area. Let's call it GMA for GMA. I've never called it GMA, but it sounds good. So the difference is the proximity. In my opinion, everything is smaller, right? So it's less population, less buildings, but you're close to everything. I think that's one of the major differences in real estate, is that you can have the pricing of a suburb house, but yet be 10 minutes walking distance from the island of Montreal.
And why, if somebody is looking to move to Canada, let's just say they're looking on the Quebec side, and Montreal is a well-known place, but there's places kind of outside of that. So what are the kinds of people that you find are choosing to live right in Montreal compared to places like Laval or some of the other like neighborhoods on the outskirts? Is it more so price driven, or is it just some people prefer to live outside of Montreal?
To be honest with you, it depends on the situation of the inbound or whoever's moving in here. I can tell you from the story of my parents when we moved from Argentina. We actually rented a duplex, a lower duplex in Montreal, north of Montreal. And, because we needed the size, we are 5 kids with my parents, who were 7 in the house. So we needed a big place. For us, we wanted Montreal because of the commute to everything, close to everything. And also, there is more offer on the rental side. So if somebody wants to move in from somewhere in Canada, I strongly suggest that they maybe land in a place, they rent maybe 6 months, so short term. They look at a few neighborhoods or they check our YouTube channels, and then they make a decision of where to go. I think it was something wise that my parents did, because they ended up buying at a great price and a great location after visiting a few neighborhoods. And then they were able to make the move really quick and buy something in Laval, so in the suburbs, right north of Montreal. And I think it depends in the situation. For example, we're having an inbound of a lot of professionals because of the tech companies that are moving into Montreal. So a lot of those people, they're actually buying big properties. They come in with a guaranteed salary. They actually have allowances for buying a house. So I think Montreal on the luxury side has beautiful location and with a lot of cachet, with beautiful architecture homes. Laval is newer, so the constructions, they look a little bit more modern, more 80s type of houses. But in Montreal, you can have some of the colonial look, Victorian style homes, and that makes a difference for the people that are coming from abroad. What is Toronto like? I mean, you're in the greater Toronto area. I mean, do you see people that they're coming straight from outside the country going into Toronto downtown, or more the greater Toronto?
So what I've found is a lot of the people that have reached out that are looking to move to like from outside of Toronto. So they're people who have been here for. I have one family that were here. They moved to Toronto right at right in the financial district, and he's in the finance. And so they came here because this is where the jobs were. And now he was looking to move outside of the outskirts. And so a lot of the people that are coming to the GTA, they're coming and they're kind of staying right in the heart of Toronto, or a little bit on the outskirts where it's like Scarborough, that kind of area. And then when they're ready to buy a place, because when you first come to Canada, unless you are working for a company that has an office here and you've been transferred, it's a little harder to get a mortgage. So a lot of people for the first year, they're renting. And then I saw a stat somewhere, and I think it's Canada-wide. So all the new immigrants that are coming to Canada, they plan. So 90% of them are planning on buying a house within their first year. So they're coming and they're renting in Toronto because this is where they feel all the jobs are. They don't necessarily need to get a car right away because it's fully reliant on the TTC. So they have the subway, the streetcars, the buses. So they have everything to be able to get around. And they can test the waters and save their money, get their job, build up their credit. And so that's what I find. Like a lot of people that are immigrating to Canada, they're coming to Toronto because this is like an area people really know about. And then when they're ready to do, they kind of move on the outskirts because Toronto is just so ridiculously expensive that finding something there's news articles you see of these like laneway houses. Lots are selling for like $1.3 million, where like
they make up the news all the time. Yeah,
yeah, it's a glorified garage. That's all it is, and it's selling for like $1.3 million. It's a 22-foot wide lot. Like lot size is ridiculously small, but it's just the real estate there is so expensive because there's so many people that are looking to move here, and they see like if you're looking at places to move, if you're overseas or you see what the house prices of Toronto are, and it's relatively cheap compared to a lot of these other places where you look at Hong Kong real estate prices or Switzerland, like all these other places, and it's very expensive. And then you look at Toronto and they come here, and to us, it's expensive. Like to see these homes that are for 1.3 million and what they end up selling for, it's just nuts. And so that's kind of why a lot of people are moving outside of Toronto, is because it's the affordability purpose of it.
That's one of the things that I can tell you about Montreal is that the people that come in, they don't necessarily rent downtown Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
Downtown Montreal is actually, I think, the same story as how expensive it is in Toronto downtown. It's really people that move into actually the other neighborhoods around downtown Montreal. And the further you go, obviously, from downtown, the prices vary, but they considerably vary. So my parents, they were, just to give you an idea, in public transport, we were at about 30 minutes from downtown. That was a bus ride, then taking the sub, the metro. But my parents had to do that in order to be able to afford such a bigger place. And that's now, for example, there are 3 metro stations that go south of Montreal, and then 3 that go north. So obviously the greater Montreal area, a lot of people, they actually live there. They drive to the metro station, they leave their cars, and then they take the metro station to downtown Montreal. And so you have a lot more residential areas around Montreal, and then you have the industrial zone, the biotech, the zones. You have different regions like that within Montreal, and prices vary significantly. Like, for example, an average house pricing in just north of Montreal, where I live. So I live here north of Montreal in the island of Laval. In this island, the average the median price in the last 2 months was $430,000 for a bungalow, so a single floor plus basement,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
2 bedrooms upstairs. So this is the average bungalow, $430,000. In Montreal, the median price is in the last 2 months we're at $630,000.
Wow.
And one bridge. This is actually the bridge I take. You don't see it in the picture; it's too small. But it is actually that little bridge that I can walk through or go with my bicycle. And that's I think is a major differentiating factor. And thinking that you can save up to and it's pretty. I think is actually as significant if you think about buying a house. Let's say a single home house in Toronto versus where you live. What would be the price difference?
So right now, so that kind of bungalow you're talking about, that you described in down where you are, you said it was in the 400,000s. So that same one in Oshawa is probably sitting in and around between 500,000 and 600,000, depending on the finishes of it. And then if you take that same house and you put it in Toronto, if you're in the outskirts of Toronto, you're talking maybe 900,000. If you are right downtown core of Toronto, well, depending on the lot size, you could be looking at 1.5 million, 1.6 million, even more. Like, because it's the lot size. Like Bayview and Steeles, which is an area pretty much within like Markham or close to Markham, lots there for that bungalow, which is probably an 1,800 square foot bungalow, is like 1.5 million. And it's the lot size that people are paying
for. Do you
for.
consider in the 1,800 square feet, you consider just the main floor or basement included?
Just the main floor.
Okay, yeah. Here, the regular bungalow is about 1,200 square.
Okay.
That's the regular. It's about 27 by 40.
Okay.
27 by 40. That's the average. That's the average bungalow. There are so many that were built that way. It's like if
Yeah.
if the contractor paid for the architect once and then they just copy paste, copy paste. No, really, significantly
No.
a lot of bungalows like that.
No.
Some models they have 2 bedrooms only above ground. So
Okay.
we have bigger areas for the living room and the dining room, but most of them have 3 bedrooms.
Okay. So I guess we'll just for everyone who's kind of watching right now, the purpose of this is just to be able to ask questions, whether it's just living in like Toronto or this area, or if you are looking at living into the Montreal type area, you ask questions. So you just type them into the chat, and then I'll put them on the screen. And then if it's geared more towards Tom, then he'll be able to answer that and share what it's like to live in Montreal, or the real estate, how things in real estate in Montreal are. If you have other questions which are geared towards the Toronto area, this is your opportunity to ask, and we do our best to kind of answer it.
Absolutely.
And yeah, so that's pretty much why I do these lives, and it just gives people an opportunity, because I have a ton of people from all over the world that do watch, and I can't imagine what it would be like to relocate to a different country. So the fact that there's something out here with these lives where you can ask real-time questions, and you get a better idea of what it will actually be like to live here. So like with Montreal, what kind of market is it right now? Is it still a strong seller's market there? Have things slowed over the last little while?
Brad, it is very hectic right now. Market is on fire. Yes, it is a seller's market. I don't know if you see here. I have. I was preparing a listing presentation, so I have these. I can show you this. I can show it to the camera. So let me show you Montreal. So.
Oh yeah, you're full screen now.
So it's gonna focus.
Yeah.
So you see all this dark blue here?
Yeah.
That is the current market versus last year. Even we had COVID, and you see that there is a very low month here.
Yeah.
We were able to recover. And when you do the sum of everything that is above the previous year, we're still in total greater than the previous year. And this, you see the volume. These are prices versus last year. Look at the prices, how big of a jump they made. We're talking about 50% price increase in volume for all the transactions. And Laval, let me show you Laval, which is the North Island, right here. If you look at this, 98%. So we doubled last year's in volume.
Yeah.
So this is something that I was showing to a client that is selling and buying. So I was showing them the market, how it is. And it's very handy that I have it here. But even though they restricted now the mortgage, now, for example, for a mortgage that is more than 500,000, you need to put more than 5% down. Mm-hmm. So right now, between 500 and up to $1 million, depending on what amount, it could go up to 7.5% cash down minimum. Mm-hmm. For properties that are more than 1 million, it is mandatory to put 20% down.
Okay.
So even though they restricted this way, there's still great activity and volumes in quantity of money and transactions. Everything is up. So it makes it very challenging. I was telling you before we go on air about the offer we made yesterday with some clients. So we ended up being on a house really far north. So we're talking about free highway
on the map.
45 minutes.
Oh, okay.
No, 45 minutes for Montreal. A free highway. So we made an offer 11% above asking price.
Yeah.
And we were still outbid. So yeah, it's playing really rough. It's really rough.
But are they, because I find what happens here, it drives me friggin' nuts, where they will, there'll be something where the neighbor identical house. And like those bungalows that you're talking about that are just like copy and paste,
Yes.
it's the same thing here. So it's probably a Canada-wide type thing. So you will have an identical bungalow that sells for 600,000, and then so somebody a couple doors down will want to sell their house, and the realtor will price it at 499,000. Although an identical model sold for 600,000. So they priced it $100,000 below the most recent comparable, which is an identical type house. And so when things are selling $101,000 more than what it's being listed for, and then the realtor puts the sold above asking on the sold sign, to me, it's not really legit because they didn't price it at what it was being marketed at. So here, if something sells 20% higher than what it was listed for, that just means that they priced it ridiculously low. So in Montreal, are you having the same thing where properties are priced low to induce the multiple offers? So it's these like bidding wars that just kind of are happening all the time because the properties are priced a lot lower?
I can tell you that I've expressed that tactic to sellers in the past. So basically, let's say a house is 550, is worth 550 in the market. I always tell the sellers, here are different strategies that you can do. You either price it at 549, 900, and then we're going to be able to hit many buyers because the house is properly priced, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or if you put it at 499, you're going to have better conditions, so less conditions on the offer, so faster to the closing, faster to the notary, and there are extremely high chances that you get a bidding war for your house. So you'll be less time on the market, you'll have less days for visits and having always to have the house properly organized all the time, visit ready. So you just make something really hectic for 1 week, and then after the house is booked and committed to a buyer. So I always tell these strategies to sellers, but it really depends on the situation of the sellers and what they prefer. For example, when I work with elderly people, pre-COVID, because post-COVID I've been recommending something else, but before COVID, I would tell them, look, if you don't want to be rushed out of your house, you spent your whole life in this house, you saw your kids grow up. I mean, these walls, they talk memories of things that happen in your life. Look, if you want to take it easy, we're going to price it even $19,000, $20,000 higher. And that's going to reduce only to buyers that are really in love with the house. And you're going to have a little bit less buyers, so you'll be able to actually have much of a smoother process. So I think it depends really on the situation of the seller. But we don't have what you're saying about people actually dropping it significantly lower in order to have like a super bidding war. And it is illegal in Quebec. It is now illegal, but people do it online all the time, to put what percentage is sold above the asking price.
Oh.
So they're hitting social media a lot in order to prevent people from doing that.
Yeah.
The law is strict. It's differently. The free competition law is different. So they don't want people to say neither how many offers there were and what percentage above asking it sold until the closing. After the closing, you can do whatever you want.
Okay.
So
so these are questions that I just figured I would ask because I don't know. So in Quebec, is there the land transfer tax when you buy property? Where
transport tax?
Yeah.
No, there is a tax. There is a tax. I'm looking for the word in English. In French, is mutation tax. So it's a funny word, taxe de mutation in French. It is a tax that you pay only once when you buy a house. So there is a tax that you buy, and in Montreal it is about 1.5%.
Okay.
It's a little bit more than 1.5%, but there is a like a scale depending on the price of the house that you're buying. But it's not the same that if you buy in the island of Montreal or if you buy outside of Montreal. And just the savings of buying outside, just the saving itself almost pays for for that tax, for the property transfer tax.
Okay. Yeah, because
Is there one in Greater Toronto?
yeah, so it's the same thing here. So Toronto, like with these house prices, so if you are in Toronto, it's actually a double land transfer tax. So they have the provincial land transfer tax and then the municipality one. So they have the part that goes to the province, and then they also have the part that goes to the city of Toronto.
Wow.
And if you are looking at a property, so I just calculated this recently. So a property of $1.5 million has a land transfer tax, provincial and the municipal, of almost $60,000 that you have to pay on top of the purchase price, which is that tax. If you are outside of Toronto, it's half of it. So like a $1.5 million property outside of Toronto, you're sitting at around, let's just say like 29,000 or 28,000. So it's a big difference.
Well, I just calculated it quickly. For 1.5 million on the island of Montreal, it's 28,500, and outside the island of Montreal is $20,000. So you're saving $8,000.
Okay.
Just by for 1.5 million on just by 5 minutes walking distance. Literally.
But is it like each city in Quebec, do they have their own land transfer tax?
Montreal is the only one.
Montreal is the only one.
Montreal is the only one that has a specific percentage allocated to it. So in all the calculators, if you go to my website, casarotti.ca, you will find in the toolbox, you're going to have a transfer tax calculator. And in that calculation, you can click Montreal-based house or not Montreal. So if you don't select the option. And so it's it makes a difference. So you're talking about that 1.5% for Laval, and then you have another 1%, another 0.5% for Montreal. So it depends again on the pricing, because it has different brackets for the pricing.
Yeah, no, it's something that people don't necessarily.
How are mortgage, the access to mortgage rules in the cash down? Is it different from what I said about the cash down, the minimum cash down?
Yeah, so it's like, so the 5% is kind of the standard, and anything less than 20%, you have the CMHC, which is that Canada Mortgage Housing Corporation, which insures the mortgages. And what I found with those is if you are having a CMHC approved mortgage, so you're going with 5, 10, 15% down, I found that the approvals actually come in faster, because the banks are like, well, we're insured on it anyways. So they kind of push it through faster. And then you have people who are putting 20, 25, 30% down. And it's actually like a harder approval, because the banks are like, well, we got to make sure, because if you default on your mortgage, we are not getting money from the CMHC or anything like that. So it's the same thing. Like, you can buy with as little as 5% down, but you do get penalized for it, where it costs not even a penalty, because if they didn't have CMHC and you had to put 20% down or more, you wouldn't be able to buy a house. So it's just kind of like that insurance you have to pay if you're putting less. Yeah. Which, honestly, it makes it a lot easier to invest or even buy a place, because like if you're investing and you have to put 20% down, your return has to be higher to pretty much make up that percentage. Where if you're going with 5% down, so you're buying something and it's costing you $25,000 for down payment and closing costs, and that property goes up 10%, it's not going up 10% based on your deposit. It's going up 10% of the property value, which, it could go up 50,000, and you just doubled your money. And sometimes it's only like in a matter of 2-3 years that you're doing that.
A question I get often is, what are the buying costs of a property? Let's say a buyer wants to consider pretty much all the spectrum of buying cost. So what would it be like to buy a house in Greater Toronto area? What can you expect as cost?
So I guess the most popular would be lawyers, and lawyer costs are between, you see them advertised as low as $800 for a closing, all the way up to $1,700, $1,800. And then you have the land transfer tax. And depending, so sometimes if If you have to go through an alternative lender, they're going to charge you a little bit for that. But all in all, it's mainly the land transfer tax. But as a first-time buyer, you actually get a credit. So you're getting like a $4,600 land transfer tax credit, which means technically you could buy something up to about $500,000, and it's costing you only a few $1,000s compared to if you didn't have that land transfer tax credit. You'd be
that's amazing.
with
Only for first-time buyers, right?
only for first-time buyers. Do they have the same thing in Montreal?
So the program for first-time buyers comes and goes. I keep on, like, for example, I've had buyers from Australia reaching out, and we ended up buying a beautiful, it was a duplex that was transformed into a single home house. So very spacious, very close to downtown Montreal. They actually had 100% of their welcome tax or transfer tax paid back.
Okay.
Maybe because they had kids. I have no idea of exactly how it worked, but I did hear that some people, they got partial refunds, partial credits, and some other people had zero credits, even though they were first-time home buyers. So I think the program is pretty selective, or comes and goes in different times of the year, or has some requirements. Maybe it's based on income. I have no access to the exact criteria, because here is the people that qualify you or actually apply for the program. It's not realtors. It is the you call them lawyers, but here we have lawyers, and then we have notaries, which they both go to school for law, both.
Okay.
The notary is the person that actually does the deeds of sale. And the lawyer is more the person you go see if you actually screwed up. so if you need somebody to defend you. So the notaries here the notaries do the deeds of sale here, and they sign most of the documents for ownership of property. Okay. So the lawyers in your case are the ones that actually will take care of actually applying for the program and doing all the paperwork and see if everything works.
Okay. Yeah. Here it's kind of like we just have the lawyer. So like I recommend a lawyer, and they kind of handle everything. They do all the paperwork on, when the money comes in, it goes through their trust account, and then they have to go put it into the seller's lawyer's trust account. And then once that's done, then it gets kind of switched over on title. So it's all done with the same kind of person. So whether you mess up and you need to go to court, or you just want a clean, smooth transaction you're closing on, you're using the same person.
Is there do you have I was going to ask you, I completely forgot about it, about what I was going to ask you. It's the comment from Argentina that actually distracted me. We have people watching in Argentina. Maybe somebody wants to move in here. I was surprised when I got the call from Australia. But you know what? Helping people from overseas, I mean, that they trust us as their local expert, that's priceless. Priceless.
Yeah. There's Agus. She's from Argentina. Greetings from Argentina. Yeah, it's cool. Like this whole YouTube thing. Like I've had it where because WhatsApp is incredible. I will get phone calls, and it's somebody that is from Africa or Hong Kong, Switzerland, and Jamaica, like all these different places where they're just able to like reach out through WhatsApp, and it's really cool. Like it's really, really neat. So
what's your first step? Actually, I can tell you, my first step was to actually get them in touch with a local institution for finance, to have kind of the verifications for access to a loan, or actually if they're buying without financing, the companies will actually verify that there is an equity or that there is access to capital locally. What's your first step?
So to me, I always push the financing part. So like if they're doing financing, then they get as much of a pre-approval as they can get. Now, I've had to learn this the hard way over the last little while, where sometimes people reach out and they have their own lenders, And what I've found is they kind of work off of okay, you know what? We haven't verified anything that you are telling us, but we feel you are pre-approved up to 550,000. And then so for them, they're like, well, great, I can go shopping. I've already been pre-approved. But really, they haven't sent in any paperwork, no nothing. So I always, if somebody is dealing with their own lender, I do need something that confirms that all of the income verification, the credit, everything has been actually checked and processed. Because when you are in a market such as this, where 90, maybe not 90, but 80% of the properties are selling 100% firm on offer day, you get stuck in a spot where if you have to have conditions, you need to submit a pre-approval letter. You need to just strengthen your offer as best you can. And if you haven't started the financing, that is the most important. So I always kind of recommend my own lenders, and I did one video with him a couple months ago where we're going to be working on some more. But so I always recommend kind of the one lender, because I know if he tells me something, I know it's 100%. It's not like he needs to confirm anything. Like, he's already got all of their income documents. He has their credit report. Like, so everything has pretty much been done, and they just need a property to really run the full approval. So step one would always be the lender. And sometimes you'll have people that come out and, they're not needing to finance anything and they're just paying cash for it. In that case, you can get a comfort letter pretty much from their bank, which just confirms up to X amount of dollars they are okay. And I don't even send that to anybody, but it's just something that I can say so that when I am explaining my offer to the listing agent, I can say, like, I have verified all of the information. He's paying cash or she's paying cash, and it's been verified and confirmed. That's good. And
did you ever have to sell a property that belongs to somebody that is not a Canadian resident?
I haven't had to do that yet.
Because I hear that in Greater Toronto, I mean, the buyers that come from overseas is like really, really high.
Yeah, it was like pre-2017. It was incredible. But ever since they kind of introduced that foreign buyers tax, foreign buyers tax, it's 15% on top of purchase price that people have to come up with. So it did kind of slow that down a little bit. But I've never been on the whole dealing with overseas people. The YouTube channel has really catered to people who are looking to move here. So a lot of the people that have reached out, they're looking to move here and buy or move here and rent. And so I haven't had to do any of the selling from owners that are overseas. But I can't imagine it's going to be the easiest, because you're going to be dealing with issues of lawyers and needing to sign stuff. And
I can tell you from experience, I actually went through that in 2018. So one of the biggest requirements, actually one of the most important requirements that actually has to be considered, is that they need to file for a compliance certificate with the tax law, the Canadian tax law. And in that certificate actually is a statement of profits and losses, a P&L.
Mm-hmm.
And they're taxed a specific tax on profits when they're non-Canadian residents. What needs to be considered is that once the property is sold, that's when the process can start, and it could take up to 3 months in order to get that certificate. So if you have a closing, it needs to be accounted for in the closing timeline. And I learned it the hard way too. so having after lots of sweat, it's really a lesson learned for sure.
Yeah.
Fortunately, there was good faith in both. The funny part is that the buyer of the property was from overseas and the seller of the property were overseas, and they actually both met. They met in person because they had a circle of influence in common. They both met in a completely different country to discuss further details. That I was not aware until I found out through the collaborating agent.
Yeah, That's
Crazy.
it is. Now, with people who are looking to move to Montreal, can you
Yes.
survive there speaking English only?
Absolutely.
So it is.
So stay tuned because I will vlog a full day only English. I mean, I won't record the whole day, but I will go to grocery. So basically, I want to do the most common things: go to grocery store, gas station, go to a restaurant, go to a convenience store. I want to do all those like a shopping mall. I want to do all those 100% in English.
Yeah.
And yes, there are places within Montreal downtown that the stop signs they're actually not bilingual; they're only English.
Huh.
So
Are
there are neighborhoods which are mostly dominant of English speaking people.
okay? And are the convenience stores called the convenience stores, or are they called? Let me see if I can remember. Depanneur?
You can. I see that you're working.
I'm thinking depanneur or
Yes, yeah. So basically, and the short name, so the slang is to call it a dep. So I'm going to the dep for sure.
I remember like when I went there, I was trying to find a convenience store, and there would be people I would be asking, and I think this was Quebec City, and
Oh
I
my
remember
God.
asking people, and they were like, they had no idea what I was talking about, and I'm just like a convenience store, like, and then you see it when I finally found one. It wasn't called that; it was called the depanneur or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, French isn't my language at all.
Depanneur actually means that pan. The word pan means like something that breaks up. So let's say your engine has engine failure, and you have to step on the side of the road.
Yeah.
You can say your car is in pan. So dépanneur is unpanner. So it removes you out of a problem. Yeah, so that's where it comes from. So it gets you out of a problem. And yeah, it's a look. I had I watched many people make fun of that of the dépanneurs and people looking for convenience stores. It's quite hilarious. But
It's
in
good.
Quebec City, for sure, if you actually meet with younger people, like younger people will be more prone to speak more than one language.
Yeah.
But honestly, in Quebec City, I on the outside of Quebec City, potentially English is easier to have access to being served in English within the old Quebec, and I think with the people there, I think it will be, since it's people that are have been there established for a while, and it's often second and third generation of people that own the houses. That's one of the things about Quebec City, is that there is a lot of carryover of the same properties to the same family. So
Okay.
I appreciate, I admire that. That's something that happens a lot where I come from in Argentina. Yeah, I found out that in certain very high-end neighborhoods here in Montreal, that happens too, where there is second or third generation that actually people that are living in a property.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have a lot of intergeneration in Montreal? Like, let's say somebody's watching from I don't know, another province in British Columbia, and they want to move in with the family, with the parents. Do you have those homes that are actually two homes in one, but it's not a duplex?
Yeah, so they're starting to come through now. Can you hear me okay still?
100%.
Okay. Yeah, they're starting to do, like, there's development in Bowmanville, and then I believe another one in Pickering, where they are referred to as multi-generational living.
Yes.
So it is one house, but it's kind of like that house has two kitchens. It has, it would have like a 3-bedroom and then a 2-bedroom, and they're kind of next to each other. So it's like the one house, but you kind of go in separately, and it's different. I remember the first time looking at it, having to really look at the floor plans on it because it was pretty unique. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, here's pretty popular, and it's actually multi-generation is really sought after. the people. I also with COVID. I think with post COVID, I think it will be even more on demand. Um, I like culturally there are like two groups of people, in my opinion. You have a lot of people that like want to have their parents nearby, so they want to take care of them, and there are other people that simply are like, I prefer somebody else to take care, some professionals to take care of them. I don't have the time. I don't like. They prefer to pay for a service in a senior's home.
Yeah.
But the multi generation actually definitely here it's more popular. And those bungalows we were talking about, often they have a staircase to communicate the main floor with the basement. So they do build often a second kitchen in the basement, and they have this common connection between people, and then they do that with the triplex where I live. Is multi-generation on the main floor and the basement apartment.
Okay.
So you have common access through a main staircase, and then the top floor is separated.
Okay. Yeah, it just started here. Like they've had duplexes, triplexes, like they've had all these different kind of like investment type properties, but you're starting to see now a lot of those where it's kind of two separate houses that are just attached, but it's not a semi. Like it's not it's hard to explain. I'm trying to find the floor plan.
I get it. It's better for the viewers that actually. Yeah. So.
It's called Flex House. That's what it's called. Okay. So yeah, it's called Flex House.
No,
Let me see.
That didn't reach Montreal yet. The Flex Houses. For sure,
it's coming.
Yeah, I know. So
I'm gonna share the screen here. 1 second.
Yeah.
Okay. Focus on this one. Yeah. So so this is the Flex House, and so it's like a really nice looking house that you see, and it just looks like a really big house.
Yeah.
But let me see if I can find the floor plans.
That looks amazing. Oh, look at that. Yeah, I see that. I see the floor plan.
It's like you go in and
you have a connection through the breakfast ask.
Yeah, so like this I was pointing with my finger. You guys can't see that right here. So it's kind of like this is one kind of unit. So you would come in through the front house by like, this unit here, which I guess could be for a nanny or a living caregiver, where they have their own kitchen and it's kind of like their own bedroom, their own garage, like everything themselves. And it's right there. So it's a neat concept. I haven't even seen what these are going for in terms of prices.
So to be honest with you, we don't have that exact model, like something like that. We don't have that. What we see most of the time is, let's say you would have this type of size home, but you wouldn't see two separate garage doors. You would see only that there is an entrance on the side that is an independent entrance to a part of the house, and then you can have access to the main house through the main door, and then they both communicate through the inside. But something like this, out of the many hundreds homes that I've seen, I've never seen something like exactly like this. That's very interesting concept. What I did see in some of the bigger properties that I visited in terms of price, I did see that they had guest houses, so a separate that I've seen numerous times. But to see one house with like that I haven't new to me. I love it.
It's different. Yeah. Okay. Get rid of that. Oh, your full screen. I'm still figuring all this out. Hold on.
Yeah, no problem.
It's like so much going on, talking and trying to set the screens up. No, I don't want that. Let me see.
There
we go.
What is the number one question you get? Like all times, number one question you get from
number one. number one, okay, so from the people who watch my channels, the number one question they ask is, they always, and it's Oshawa, because Oshawa was where I started all of these videos, and it's always in regards to either Oshawa, is it a good place to live? And if you are from a different country, are you going to fit in? And I've had that asked quite a bit from mixed couples and people that came from Middle Eastern countries where they wear hijabs and they're just worried they're going to come here and they're not going to feel comfortable. And so I always just kind of explain to them that, you know, a future video, which I want to do, but I feel like a creep recording people going in and out of Walmart, is just like to see the kinds of people that are coming in and out of Walmart, because that will tell you what are the kinds of people that are really living here.
Absolutely.
And it's something so simple, but it can help answer a lot of that question. And it's not them just asking a realtor, am I going to fit in here? Because the easy answer is always going to be yes. Like, I'm never going to tell somebody no, because here it's very diverse and multicultural. So anybody can come here and they're going to fit in.
One thing I can recommend is if you check out the website for the 2016 census for StatCan, you can go in very high resolution. So you can go really in high detail, and you can find out with specific languages what's the percentage, and in specific cities. So I found it. You know, I found information within borough, like within neighborhoods, but very detailed. Like there is one neighborhood called Saint Francois in the northeast of Greater Montreal. There is 20,000 people that live there. And I was able to see how many people speak a native language from Africa. Like, it gives you high resolution details about that. So, you know, having a percentage of the people that speak that language maybe can be the language that the people that reach out from overseas.
What is this? What's the website? I can pull it up here.
It's the StatCan. So let me see if I have the exact StatCan. Okay, so here, census, language, census profile. I don't have it handy right here. But definitely, I can send you the link for sure. We can put it in the description for sure. Yeah. So you can see the language specifically per neighborhood in every area. Did you receive any questions from the audience?
There's nothing yet. So I guess, if anybody does have questions, it's your chance to ask away. And that's kind of what we're here. So we have realtors. So if a lot of times people might have questions that they don't necessarily want to call somebody to ask specifically, where this is a great chance to be able to do that, because whether it's real estate questions, paperwork questions, how much does it cost overall to buy a house? Although we did cover that in the beginning of this a little bit. So if there's any questions, by all means, if you ask, I'll post the question up right here, and it will show, and then there we go. Questions, ask away. So Tom, when is your channel up and running for the Montreal content?
I want to have the channel full up and running by December 1st. That's the release date. But for sure, I will have 1 or 2 videos already in the channel by December 1st. And it will be called Living in Montreal and Greater Montreal. And then I'll have the French channel too for the audiences within Quebec, the province of Quebec that are moving in either from Quebec City or other areas that are moving to Montreal and Laval. So the French, obviously, for many companies, there are very strict laws with French with the French language. So that has been preventing. I would say preventing. Actually, I don't want to say preventing. I was making it a little bit more complex, and complicated. I don't want to say complicated, but actually more sophisticated. Let's put it politically correct. Sophisticated the way to immigrate to Quebec as a professional.
Yeah.
A lot of positions in companies require to address to the employees in French. So a lot of talent has to go through an adaptation for French or show proof that they're actually learning French. So
Okay.
not necessarily that they need to be speaking French, but that they are in the process of learning French. So that is a bypass. Yes.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine doing having to like. So to me, the whole language thing is just something that I've always struggled with. So having to be able to speak in English and in French is definitely something that I don't fully understand how that's possible. But I guess that will do. That's another conversation piece, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, with time you learn the way that I learned French and English is that they have similarities in their roots in the etymology of the word. So you can find common grounds between the languages and I think when you're in immersion that you have no choice to learn a language, I think is very different than when you have to find the willpower within in order to just put in the time and the effort in order to learn another language.
Okay.
I had to, because I was 16 years old when I landed here in adolescence, and the hormones were pushing me to seek out establishing contact with a female. So my language, obviously, I was learning very fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my passion for real estate, actually, I learned it very fast because I wanted just to start being in contact with the people and the process of actually shopping for a house. And like I have trouble when people ask me to find a deal. Do you get that often? Like people want a deal, something like that?
Yeah, a lot of people.
How do you deal with that? How do you deal with the people that want deals? Because of the current situation in the market, like I find myself often having to door knock or to call for a specific client.
Mm-hmm.
So we find the property off the market, and then they might be able to get it if the seller accepts a direct deal from like I would be the broker of the seller and the broker of the buyer, but the seller needs to understand that they're putting aside the possibility of having multiple offers on their house but it does happen very often, because in those situations I can coordinate better dates, or if it's a later date and all that, the seller has more time to turn around and react and to have more control on that.
Yeah, it's so there are deals, because not all sellers just want a high price. 90% do. The higher, the better. But sometimes if they can have a smooth transaction where, they don't even have to go to market, they're going to sell their house for a price that they are happy with, they're okay losing out with that little bit extra money if it's going to a good family. Or, they don't have to do showings and be inconvenienced. They don't have to stage their house. Like, there's so many things that they don't have to do.
Absolutely.
That, they're okay with it. And that's where a lot of the times, like with your brokerage, with Remax, like they have, well, I don't know, I'll let you speak on that, but I know like with my brokerage with Right at Home, they have different portals and stuff where it's like coming soon or exclusive type listings that, we're able to access kind of before they even come to market. Does Remax kind of have the same thing with you there?
No, unfortunately, there are very strict laws for the competition, unfortunately. So I cannot say check this evening because I will be listing something very interesting, or new to market soon, coming soon. Unfortunately, those are forbidden. Actually, the sign, when we install the sign, like here there are a lot of companies that actually install signs for you. I still do it myself because it's the best opportunity to talk to the neighbors.
Yeah.
So when you cannot install the sign before the listing is on MLS, on Centuries.ca or Realtor.ca. Because if you do that, you're not being fair to your fellow brokers, because potentially buyers will see it from your sign before they actually see it on MLS or see it in the results that another broker could send them in the other automatic alerts. You know, the I don't know if you have that. Do you have like something that feeds new listings to your buyers?
Yeah, it goes between 2 and 4 a.m. in the morning, and it has everything matching kind of what they're looking for.
Nice.
From that previous 24 hours.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah, and we have the same here, but it's not between 2 and 4. It's instantaneously.
Okay.
So you have to have both actually, you need to have the listing online before you can put the sign, and that's actually sometimes tricky. So yeah, so we don't have those exclusive within the same brokerage. That would be fantastic, because the listing belongs to the brokerage, right?
Yeah.
The listing, we put our name in it, but actually the agency is the one really representing the marketing on the seller side. So I do agree with you. Like, I can give you an example. My parents, when they sold their house, they refused an offer that was for more because they actually chose a buyer that was offering less, but they actually preferred that buyer. And it was based not on ethnicity, but before they actually know who the offer was from. They said, "Oh, I wish it was that young couple that actually visited, that the lady was pregnant. I wish it was them that they would buy it."
Yeah.
And it's like, this is a lower offer, but it's this one. And I was with a colleague broker that was representing them too. And my parents said, "Let's pick them," and they left money on the table just because they chose the buyers. So when you were referring to about having a deal, quote unquote,
yeah.
You can get those experiences still in this market.
No, it's true. And I had a similar situation, I think it was 2 weeks ago now, where we had submitted an offer. The property, geez, I'm trying to remember. The property was priced at $599,000. Our offer was at $630,000, and it ended up selling for $660,000 or something like that. But we actually wrote a letter to the sellers that we attached with our offer, which explained my buyers, and it gave them an opportunity, because I was explaining to them, I'm like, if there's 5 or 6 different offers, they're just seeing paper and numbers. They're not seeing people and families. And you came from South Africa 2 years ago, and you're looking to buy your first house for you and your small family, and that can make a big difference out there.
Absolutely.
And that's one of those things that you can help. Like, you can't offer less and be $100,000 less than the next offer. But sometimes if you are 5, maybe even 10,000 lower than that next offer, but you give the sellers an opportunity to get to know who you are, it could make a big difference.
Yeah, there's the meaning, right?
Yeah.
That the feeling of legacy and meaning. No, definitely, I have that. The market right now. Do you get the people that are actually, that they worry that if they put their house for sale, it will sell too fast, and actually they haven't found a house yet? Do you have that situation in Toronto market right now?
Yeah, where there's been times where that's like a big point. Like, either way, you're gambling. If you buy first,
there is a risk factor in everything.
Yeah, like if you buy first, market could shift from the time you buy to when you have to sell, and then that makes it harder, because you might have to sell your house for less than what you could be getting right now. But if you sell first and the market continues to go up, next thing you know, you might have a hard time actually finding something. So it's a real big dilemma that it's hard to advise people. Like, what do you do? Like, people ask, like, should we buy first or should we sell first? And I always say it depends on how picky you are. if you are looking for that perfect house that needs to check off 100 different boxes because you're moving into your final home, then you might want to buy first, because it might take you 6 months to be able to find something that you like. If you list your home right now, the way the market is, it's going to sell within that week. And the only reason it's going to last to a week is because of offer holdbacks. Do they have that in Montreal where they'll list a property on a Friday and they won't look at offers until the Tuesday or Wednesday?
All the time we do it. We do that all the time now.
Yeah, so it's the same thing here. And so like when they're talking average days on market, and they're saying like an average days on market 17. Well, that's
because they had a 2-week offer back.
Yeah, it's like, okay, yeah, there's a few properties that, priced high, or there's something wrong with them and they're not going to sell. So that's bumping it way up. But then when you have it where you're going to accept offers after 7 days of being on market, well, right now you're starting a benchmark at that 7 days on market, which isn't really true, because if you had taken offers right away, you'd sell your house on the first day. And there was one who was listed at $650. This was a townhouse in Ajax, like a townhouse. So it's like attached on both sides for those who don't know what a townhouse is. It was listed at $650,000. And on the same day it was listed, they got a bully offer from somebody for $750,000. So the day it was listed, it sold firm, no conditions. It's nuts. And yeah, so it's bumping the prices.
I often explain that to I clarify that point with the quote unquote bully offers. Like I always share with the buyers that like some buyers are making their first offer, but they're competing against people that it's maybe their 10th offer. So some buyers are so mature in the process that actually what happens is that they come in already having experienced losing homes, so they really put down the big money.
Mm-hmm.
And the new buyers, they're still thinking, because they haven't built up the experience, that you as a broker recommending him to offer minimum full price and minimum like whatever percentage above asking because of the situation of multiple offers of a bidding war. And you recommend that, it's like, okay, but let's try. Maybe they're gonna make a counter offer to us. So they're hoping that they make a counter offer, but I explain to them, that you're making a promise to purchase, to buy the house. They will not make a counter offer, which translates to a promise to sell the house to you. So it's quite a lot of education for first-time home buyers.
It is, and it's always different, and it can be the type of property in a specific city that could be. So this is just one of the comments that it happened. Like with Jen, it was the same thing. Like bidding on property after property, and people don't know until they start. Where they go out, they'll look at 5 properties on one day in different areas. And they're like, okay, well, I like this house. Okay, well, you have to wait. They're not going to review offers for 3 days or 3 more days, because it's been on the market a couple, like maybe 2 or 3 days. And your first offer, you get smoked on. Like you're not even close. But at the same time, you have to understand how the market is. Because if you get, like in a crazy market, if you get your first offer that you've submitted, unless it's like you get lucky and it's on a property that has no other offers. Yeah. But for the most part, if you're competing with other people and you win your first bid, you're going to feel you overpaid for sure. You're not going to go through the pain points of losing out on properties that you either really liked, or you start picturing yourself living there. And that's what happens sometimes with causing the markets to kind of slow down a little bit. It's just the buyer fatigue, where people get tired, and it's kind of like that sense of disappointment every time you don't get a property that you really liked. And then it just gets to a point where people are like, you know what, I'm just going to stay where I am for now, because, it's draining. Like you do the paperwork, you go through the offers, then you have that offer submitted. You're waiting 5 or 6 hours to kind of find out what's going on. Yeah. And, what's it called? Like sign, repeat. Like it's just like you do that over and over, and you're just like, you know what, I'm just going to hold off for now, stay where we are, and then we'll just let things, we'll revisit it again maybe next
I
year.
find it's important to start making offers as soon as possible because just being capable of understanding the clauses, the different clauses on an offer, and being able to understand the delays and the days and all that. It's only when you're exposed to actually signing one that you actually take the time to understanding everything as a buyer. Uh,
Mhm.
so I think that experience, I always, regardless of the chances of reaching a closing on a house that they like for the first time, which often the experience is that it's really challenging for the first one, since they don't feel comfortable actually going above asking in case there are 15 offers, like it happened to me yesterday. Um, uh, so what happens is that they need to be offer ready, and in my opinion that's the best way, is just to get to jump in the pool, actually, to sign an offer for a house, and that's how they start understanding the delays and actually the process. uh,
Yeah.
it is among the best. I was looking at how is like are they building a lot of new in your area? In Montreal right now, it's not that it's not going on that much. There is
Yeah.
building, but still the demand is outpacing the building.
Yeah, it's I guess they're building a lot, but it's the question of what are they building. So
Okay.
if you are looking in Toronto, it's condos. Like they're building condos. You go into the outskirts of Toronto, whether it be North York or Scarborough, they're building townhomes, condo townhomes, like the back-to-backs and stacked. Like it's a real big push towards the affordable housing, where it's $700,000, $800,000, which, to me, that's not affordable. But to a lot of people, that's like for the new
It's a big
construction.
mortgage, man. It's a big mortgage.
Yeah, and so it's like they're building a lot, but it's a lot of condos and townhomes. And then when you go to the outskirts, so where I am in Whitby, like I'm in a home that we moved into December, and we were the first owners, so we're in a brand new house. We don't even have grass or a driveway yet. Like our driveway
Yeah.
is stone, and our front yard is mud. Like it's great, but so they are building new homes, but it's definitely on the outside of Toronto. And the communities that have those double car garage detached types homes are a little bit far and few between. Like it's not like they're just building it everywhere. Like they have developments coming up, but it's not crazy. Like, so the people that are moving out of Toronto that are looking to move to the Durham region, which is Oshawa, Whitby, Ajax, Pickering, like kind of where I live, they're looking for these detached types homes, and the supply is definitely low. And what worries me long term is they haven't been able to build enough to sustain all of the people that are coming to Canada or the greater Toronto area.
Yeah.
And then the people who are moving out of Toronto because they're just tired of living in a condo or an apartment, and they're ready for that suburban type lifestyle with a fenced yard and a detached type home where they can walk the whole perimeter of their home without, pretty much like they have 4 exterior walls that they have their own, and they want they want the dog in the backyard, all that kind of stuff. So that's what's really fueling a lot of these people that are moving from outside of Toronto to come here.
Yeah.
It's just for the way of life and the affordability here. Like in Whitby, the house you can get for $1 to $1.5 million is probably a 3,600 square foot home that is more on the newer side, like big house.
Yeah, it's a beautiful size. Almost above 3,000 square feet living area. It's a beautiful house.
Yeah, and so like you can get that in places like Whitby, Ajax, where the price points for $1 to $1.1 million is pretty decent. When you're in downtown Toronto, you're going to get one of those laneway type homes where it's just a glorified garage, really, but it has a building lot that somebody can develop, like a 4-story type, really narrow type house. But yeah, so that's kind of,
we call them candle houses.
candle houses.
Yeah, that's the slang that runs on on the streets of the buyers is like, oh yeah, it's like it translates. It's not candle house in English. We call it's this translation from the French term to the English term. One curious thing that is happening right now is that a lot of builders of condos are reconfiguring the condos with the architects because they saw that the demand is more for bigger condos. So they're making bigger condos, less units, less doors, more expensive per door. But they're actually they put on halt because of COVID. They put on halt an halt in many projects, and now they're actually reconfiguring the spaces, and they're building bigger condos because the demand is going to bigger properties. I guess, with working from home, there is a very interesting happening right now. It's something very interesting. A lot of people, they want to bring in a lot more. They want to live in a more spacious house because they need to now, not because they wanted to. Now they need to. They have to. So they're actually working on expanding outside Montreal. So they go to Greater Montreal because they're looking for that extra space for having an office or having an area that is designated to work.
Yeah, I've kind of found that too. Like with there's a lot of one bedroom apartments or condos that are being built. The 2-bedroom, 3 bedrooms, the price points of them, if you're looking brand new, are really expensive. And the older ones, which are more on the affordable side, the maintenance fees are ridiculous. Where you could be paying like $1,200 maintenance fees, which some will cover utilities, others won't. Where it's just crazy.
Absolutely crazy.
Yeah. Trying to think here.
Well, we've been going for an hour and a half. That went fast.
I know it does. It's faster when there's somebody I'm talking to. Normally, I'm just kind of talking to the camera myself.
There are so many things. Property taxes are very low here.
Mm-hmm. What's a property tax there?
For the municipal assessment taxes?
Yeah.
Municipal taxes. So, for example, for a bungalow, like I was talking about, that typical bungalow, 27 feet deep by 40% wide, you're talking about between $5,000 and $6,000 a year.
Okay.
And that's for municipal. Then you have the school tax, which would be about $600 a year. And that is in the median price of $430,000 I was talking about in Laval, and the $630,000 in Montreal. So that gives you an idea of the municipal tax in Montreal. Obviously, would be a little bit more expensive because it goes accordingly to the municipal assessment.
Yeah.
And the municipal assessment gets a correction and adjustments every 3 years, or based on renovations. If you actually ask for a permit for renovation, you can expect the city to drive by and see what you're doing at home if you ask for a permit a few months after you're done with the renovation. They want to collect higher taxes, so for sure they won't skip you.
Yeah. No, it's true.
How are the roads? I mean, have you ever? I don't know. Me from Montreal. Do you know about the roads in Montreal? Have you? Does it have any reputation that actually you have heard about?
So what I remember, and I think this is more in the Quebec City, which is the cobblestone roads.
Yeah.
But Montreal, I don't remember. Except I don't think you can make a right-hand turn at a stoplight.
Not in Montreal, but you can in the outside of Montreal.
Okay, so yeah, those are the two things that I can remember: the cobblestone roads, and you can't make a right-hand turn in Montreal.
You have the cobblestone roads in Montreal as well. They want to keep them for the cachet of the city and how ancient sites for the tourism.
Yeah.
We have a big problem with potholes here. We have a big problem with that. Which is not the case. The many times I've been to Toronto and even further than Toronto, all the way to Niagara Falls, I've never felt the quality. I don't know exactly what it is. That people say that it's because of the weather here, but you guys get the winter, not as hard as here, but it's just there is a lot of work to do in order for the construction.
Yeah,
Speed of the construction too. That's another conversation. But the speed at which these things are done. But overall, I think the major difference, what I'm walking like after what all our conversation, I think people that live in the Greater Toronto area can benefit more of the train, where in Montreal. It's not that common that people will take the train to go to work. It's more people will drive to close by to a substation, and they will take the metro. How do you call the subterranean? You said
subway.
Subway. They will take the subway.
Yeah, so I think so. If you live in Toronto, then most times the subway is pretty decent. Like, it's not like England where they have the underground, which, like, you look at the underground map of that railway system, and it is intense. And you wonder, how does the floors not cave in underneath because of all of the subway lines? But so Toronto, a lot of the times the people who live in Toronto, they will take the TTC because it's so much easier than the traffic. The traffic is absolutely brutal. Like, you're pretty much anywhere in Toronto during rush hour. Like, forget it. Like, it's just not enjoyable at all. So a lot of people who are moving. Pardon?
Here's not bad. The traffic is, let's say, the worst traffic that I've been into to go from Montreal north of Montreal to go down. So literally from, I don't know if you see it here, so this neighborhood here, to go all the way to Montreal around this part.
Yeah.
It took me 1 hour.
Okay. And how long is that normally?
Traffic. That normally is 25 minutes.
Okay.
23 minutes. So it's all of the time. And by the way, here in Montreal, 68 metro stations, subterranean, under the ground. Underground metro station, 68 we have.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Like, that is actually why in Montreal you don't need a car.
Mm-hmm.
But the moment you move to the outside of Montreal, the island here. So anywhere you go to the islands around Montreal, definitely you need a car. Definitely, it's really important.
Yeah, like outside of Toronto, like in Toronto, you can survive without a car, and tons of people do. Outside of Toronto, you can survive without a car, but it's a little bit more difficult. A lot of people who are looking to move to Pickering, Ajax, Whitby, or Oshawa, a lot of the times they are picking a radius of time to go station. So they're okay if they have to drive between 10 and 15 minutes to go to the go station, which will take them to Union in about an hour. And if they're lucky enough to catch the express, it's a much shorter type of commute. But for the most part, people don't come to the Durham region wanting to drive to Union Station or in and around the Toronto type area, because it's not a fun drive at all. I guess I forgot to say Happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Yeah. I'm celebrating Thanksgiving tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah. Some people are doing it today, and then some people tomorrow.
Yeah.
Most people, I guess, if they're traveling, they'll do it today because gets them.
Cooking is a therapy. I love it. It shows, huh? It's my. I love cooking.
Yeah. No, it's. I like eating.
Not the cooking part.
Not the cooking part.
I don't know if you had any other questions. I definitely think that we should do another session like this sometime soon. I think it was of great value. I have. It's funny. It's funny we're doing this. This is the exact topics I've discussed with people that live in Brampton.
Okay.
And Hamilton.
Yeah.
And it's the exact topics. They asked me some of the questions that you clarified about Toronto, some of the questions that we just spoke about Montreal. that's exactly one among the best topics that people ask. So I think we
Yeah.
did a good job covering those.
No, no, it's true. It's it gives us we're just kind of chit chatting and stuff, but it gives that opportunity. So technically, somebody could have signed in at any point throughout the hour and a half. That we've been going and been able to ask a question and not have to wait for an answer. The first time I did this, I had an issue with not checking the chat. I don't know, it didn't load properly or something. So people were asking questions, but I wasn't able to answer them because I didn't know they were being asked.
Yeah.
So that's why I have my split screen set up. So I've been checking on Facebook where we're streaming to, along with the YouTube channel itself, just in case there was any things that were not being transferred through. You learn, right?
No, look, it's I love this, and I thank you very much for having me on your channel, and I like great initiative. I mean, the more we move forward in time, we're 2020 now. I mean, I think that people will migrate from one province to one city to another. I think it will be just simply more amplified with time. Commercial, I don't do commercial real estate. I don't specialize at all in that. However, I know that post-COVID, commercial is taking a hit. So for those that have liquidities, so access to capital, I think very soon it will become a buyer's market for commercial. Seriously. Also, the prices on condo have stabilized here. That's another situation. Prices of condos are not going as high as prices for single home families, single family homes. So I think for people that are investing, I think it will become very fast a buyer's market for commercial, not a residential real estate, really for commercial, like shopping strips or shopping mall. They will become a buyer's market for sure, because think about it, like a lot of companies had the idea that if people were working from home, they were less efficient.
Yeah.
And they realized that that's completely wrong. And a lot of people that were praying every day that 4 or 5 o'clock arrives so they can take off to go home, now are thinking, I would kind of enjoy going 1 or 2 days to the office. All the time at home. So,
Yeah.
so I think a lot of places will reduce on size and have more common spaces for working. So you can have a station that you can actually reserve, and you can have a few days a week that you can go to the office and just install your laptop, and then work from that desktop station or that working station. But that will cause that a lot of the offices will reduce, since they won't have everybody at the same time.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Buyer's market really fast.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I can see that for sure when it comes to the commercial side of things.
Do you do commercial?
I don't know. It's not something like I really enjoy. Pardon?
You can with your license.
Yeah. The license does allow it, but it's never anything I've really pursued because I enjoy houses.
Yeah.
Houses, condos, like the whole, like you're finding somewhere for somebody to either to buy and live or to invest. And, with the investment side, you're bringing value with long-term building wealth. When it comes to finding people's homes to live in, I enjoy finding them homes that, they get excited to move into. And with the commercial part, I don't feel the same excitement towards it at all.
I get it.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess we can sign off now.
Sure.
It's been a while. I'm sure YouTube is going to enjoy this video uploading to the channel. It's going to take a few days, but it's a good thing it's out there for people. This time was just an opportunity to kind of talk what it's like in Toronto versus Montreal, and for people that are looking to move to either or. At least now they have me, but then they also have you, Tom. where they can reach out and
Absolutely.
you're able to help guide them through the buying process of the Greater Toronto, Montreal.
I offer service in 4 languages, so Spanish, Italian, French, and English. So if there are people from overseas in those 4 languages, obviously I can help them. I wanted to ask you: did the Leafs sign off any good players in the right now in first season? Right?
They got one. Yeah, they got Wayne Simmons. So that's kind of like a good free agency kind of signing. So they did pretty good on that. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Like
Yeah.
they have a stacked team as it is. So how they don't make it further, I don't know. But you just we'll see. I don't know. All right.
Have a good one, and thank you very much for organizing this. And I'll catch you in the next one.
Sounds good. All right, Tom.
Take care. Bye.
Talk to you later. Bye.